Hello, hello, hello.
Look at this.
Hello, all you out there. You've been waiting. It's Friday. And your friends here are back. I've got
baby.
I've got my man Zez over here.
Yeah,
trying to get
baby.
him sized
we're
up
in
correctly.
the chat. It's already popping off. We're in the chat. Say hello.
Ronnie, what's
Already
up?
talking about
PO17. Welcome in. Scott, good to see you. Edward.
Scott's there. Edward's there. We're talking about Postal. We're talking about Albania. Edward lives in Albania, and the Albanian Post won't let him ship consoles. I don't know. We don't know what's going on.
Oh, gosh.
They look at your shit. Right?
What are you trying to shit here?
They want to know what's going on down in Albania, right? They're like...
That's right. All right. Look at this. We got a lot of people here, right? King, welcome in.
Steinholm's there. Fuck yeah.
Silva, everybody, welcome in. Drop a like for us today. We're going to talk about our sad problems. So sad that Zez has to bring an adult beverage to this stream.
That's right, sir.
That's right.
I'm not like, because all y'all, Bob and Roger and you, like the finer liquids in life, your bourbons, your whiskeys, you're always lining up at some friggin' bottle-o down the next state or something to get some deal you're ranting on about. I don't do any of that. I just want a beer, mate. In Australia, we drink
nice
a beer.
punky IPA. I don't know. I guess I probably will have to go get a beer, but it's all the way like out that door. But
it's also the middle of the day.
It is for me, and I haven't even had breakfast yet. You know, I do this like. I mean, we haven't really been talking about it much, but we've been doing like a lot of health changes. And like for me, I stopped eating before pretty much like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I won't try to even touch food.
Very healthy.
Yeah, that's what they say. So I eat a lot at the dinner time, and then that's it. And then so that's it. And I've been cutting back on the beer specifically because that also puts the love handles back on me. Some of the ones I like, you know?
Yeah, totally. I've lost weight over the last 6 months as well from the exercise and definitely drinking less beer. So I'm now like once a week, I'll have a couple and then I'm good. So tonight's a special night.
Enjoy.
Here we are with Steve and the CRTs and all the people in the chat.
That's right. That's right. So
right now.
Definitely. Yeah. Crack them if you got them. I don't care. I probably, like I said, I probably should have grabbed one. It's been a lot of stuff going on this week. I had some things and had some.
Yeah,
you're middle-aged, little pig. Welcome middle age now. I don't know. They say the 60's the new 40. What does that even mean?
Who knows? We're doing good, baby. We're only getting better. We're only getting better with age. Sure, as a young man, we're stupid, young, don't look good. We only improve with age.
Just like the CRTs, baby. Just improve with age, right? That's right.
Oh, I love it. Hey, Steve. Okay, let's kick it off. What do you think, Steve, about this new analog console, the FPGA N64? You must have seen this. HDMI only, no. Analog don't seem to give a shit about their DAC. There's no analog output. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I know. That's always saddening when you see these people that are trying to like almost move past. Oh, I don't want to deal with analog video. That's a little disheartening. I feel like there's going to be a spot for this. I guess, people always go crazy for their products. Yeah. But I've never a personal thing here. I've never bought an analog product. So that's about like my opinion on them. I love the N64, and I think if it brings back, I just think it's going to be a good thing. It'll bring back attention, and then people that really care will go back and look at it on a CRT if they want to.
The attention's a good point. And I've got to say, in fairness, I don't really like analog's business practices so much about the scalping, and it's hard to get them and all that. But $250 ain't bad.
No, that's good.
Considering how much a HDMI mod costs. You send it off to Volta to get it professionally done. But at the end of the day, you're not that far off that to begin with. So I think they put it in a good range.
Yeah, and I think that's a better option, obviously, right? I mean, we're talking about personal preference here. They're not, these are just what we like. And then the analog, there's going to be a place in the market for it. And again, I feel like anything that brings attention to it'll be good. It'll probably be nice if they, as a jailbroken thing. I'm not going to lie. Like, I really like the pocket, the look of it and everything, but I still haven't even really gotten one of those. And I saw that somebody had built an attachment for that actually lets you put a controller into it, and you can run that to a PVM or a CRT. And so then you're almost like that's like a Mister kind of setup with just using the little pocket. So maybe the fact that it doesn't do that naturally doesn't totally lock it in. Maybe the community will come up with something like they did there for using it. I don't know.
Yeah, some sort of DAC, some sort of off the back there, because it's just a HDMI. I guess any DAC off there would work. But yeah, I agree. I think a pocket. If I was going to buy any of them, I'd buy a pocket. But look, me and Edouard, we're over here living in Eastern Europe, baby. We don't have the big bucks of the Americans, unfortunately. So I got my Mister years ago, whenever the D10 was still like $100 or whatever it was,
goodness.
back in the day. Remember that 50 million years ago when the dinosaurs roamed the earth and a D10 Nano cost $100?
Well, that's why it's called the Jurassic. I mean, it's from the literal Jurassic era. Boom.
Oh, history jokes.
Dad jokes.
History jokes.
There you go. It's Friday. I didn't even need to get the dad joke book out for that one.
Love it.
So, yeah, happy Friday, everybody. Little Pig, welcome in. Yeah, I heard it from... I remember talking to Mike Chi, and he even was like, man, the pocket's just so awesome. And it's an impressive piece of hardware. Again, it could do even those cores that the Mister can't. So, right?
Yep. Yeah,
so,
it's got more horsepower than the Mister.
It's pretty amazing.
So
but
going on. Did you get, I forgot, sorry, you didn't get one of the new Mister clones, did you?
No, I didn't get it. I haven't gotten anything like that. I did get, the only thing I've gotten new recently, I did get a new DC power supply.
Oh yeah. The desktop
so
one,
that's
right?
So that's like, ooh, exciting. So that just arrived like last night.
So what do you use that for? I was wondering.
Okay.
What do you
so
use
you can use, it's got just two. We can go grab it. Let me grab it. So you got two inputs, a negative and a positive. And let me show you.
Yeah. So Steve's got his new desktop power supply, because Steve's doing all sorts of I looked at it as well for about $100. I don't really need one, but I'm like, no, I want a desktop power supply because Steve's got one. So you can run anywhere between.
So you've got a negative and positive lead on this thing.
Oh, you're opening it. It's an unboxing.
This doesn't even come in a proper box.
Unboxing video.
Here we go. So just a little manual.
This is the Amazon one. It was about what, $80?
No, this was half that, 40.
Oh, 40. That's I need 40.
So you've got a couple probe spots here. Let's see. Probe. What away. It's just a power supply, right? Oh, it actually has some little USB in and out things.
Yeah, I saw that. It's got the charger points in it there,
and so you could actually get some power out of it. It's a little fuzzy on the picture, but what I could do here is negative, positive, turn it on. I could dial up an exact voltage here. And then, so this will be helpful a lot for like power supplies if I can't find the original power supply for a console. I can dial this to exactly what I need, and then I could just put if I can find some kind of barrel jack that fits in there, then I could just, clip to the leads to the end of the barrel, whatever the orientation of the barrel. And then I have a power supply that will be sending in the exact voltage. But you can also use this to do the same thing while you're working on a CRT. And that would be where you might have a specific problem. And you're like, okay, I'm not getting 12 volts where I'm supposed to be getting 12 volts. Like I found oh man, there's no 12 volts. There's supposed to be 12 volts. If I inject 12 volts at this point, will the things turn on and start working, the rest of it? Yep. So you can manually go in and dial up 12 volts. It's safely probe, stick it on there, send in that 12 volts along with whatever else is going on. And then you're like, okay, my problem is before this 12 volt pin. And it's just like another helpful troubleshooting tool.
That makes sense. Okay,
right?
that's a very good reason why. When you were walking away, I said, "Now that you want one, I want one, but I don't really have a need for it. I'm usually pretty good." But sure, working on that because I can imagine. Like, I'm thinking about the PVM that I have that has water damage and smoke damage, and it doesn't power at all. So, okay, I would want to be poking around in there with power to see what fires up. Okay, add a little power here, add a little power there.
Yeah. So if you look at a lot of those boards, will have little probes sticking out of them, and it says a test point. And so what you could do is, even if you're having problems, you could go and just, I mean, like I've taken just a simple voltmeter, or multimeter, and put it on DC voltage mode and checked that point to see what it says. If it matches the monitor, then service manual, then you're good. If it doesn't, then you can literally attach to that probe and then I guess send in the extra voltage if you need it.
Right. Okay.
And balance it and see if
that was
it
only
works.
And that was
$40 shipped
from Amazon. That's all right.
Yeah, so we'll see how it works. I got good recommendations from other people who've been using it for that much, or for that reason.
Yeah, for that price, you can't go wrong for $40. Sure.
I know, Pasadena, we're trying to get that. I just haven't had time. Actually, I talked to my dad about coming in here and doing finally some work to the shed. It's just been so much work lately.
Yeah. What do you want to do to this? You going to do this space, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, well, I'll put some stuff just to make it look better behind me eventually, because it's all just white right now, and then it'll get a little bit better feel. And I'd like to put like a camera over through this wall into the other room, just like hanging down. Hey, happy birthday, Smasher Josh.
Hey, Smasher 23. God damn, bro.
Yeah, there's a nice young man there. No middle-ager yet. Right. Rob Cat, welcome. Yeah, so happy birthday. Happy birthday. All right.
Yeah, mate. 23. I love it. He's got the super he was saying you got the super VCR, which is the SVHS, I guess. It's the higher quality VHS that has a proper S-Video output. Whenever they come up locally here, they're always like $150. Someone's like, I know what I've got, so I've never been able to find one. He got one from eBay. Nice.
Yeah, they're like expensive, and I don't like to buy VCRs and stuff like that as much because they're very finicky now. I mean, it doesn't take much for a VCR to stop working, unfortunately. And I don't like to work on them. There's too much, it's like a fancy car with all these timing gears in it. It's like working on a European automobile there, Zez.
You fancy European homosexuals with your fancy and your... Okay, all right. Look, Lewis loves it. Lewis loves everyone. Hey, I'm just... Satire, baby. Satire.
Right, yeah. So one of the things that I've been we were talking about, I've been beating my head over the computer with, I've working on this hugely long video that's got 3 CRTs in it, and they're all getting modified, and I mean, the video's already over at the 90-minute mark on length, which is longer than anything that I've made. I know.
What is this, Oscar? You gonna submit it for the Oscars? Jesus, 90 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's going to Cannes Film Festival. Watch out, baby. It's going to get a standing ovation right next to that 18-hour Kevin Costner Western.
Convergence. Look at the way he did the convergence. Standing
We've
ovation.
been waiting. So
you've been working on this. So, and we were talking about last time that the longer ones are getting better traction. It seems to be what people are into. They like to put them on and just listen. So you were going for this long strategy rather than 3 shorter ones. Correct.
Yeah. And it's just, what happens is I get too many of them built up, and then I don't really have time. I mean, I guess I could just go through and make them 3 different videos in one day, but I don't know. Yeah. For this year, for 2024, we've been doing the long format. We're keeping it till the end of the year, and we'll see if I haven't had any complaints about it that way. So, and they seem to do a little bit better in the algorithm than splitting them up. Maybe it's just because the same people are coming back, watching them 2 or 3 times to finish them because they're so long. But that's okay. So what we'll do right now is I'm going to look through and I'm going to pull up the picture files from these lovely TVs. Let's see what we can do here.
Let's do it. Let's go over what Steve has been.
We're gonna go full screen on. That should be it. Full screen there.
White.
Oh, the white. So first up, yeah. This is going to be the first one in the video. It's a JVC 20-inch. It kind of looks like a D series, but it's not. So don't be confused and think it is. It has composite video. It's the AV20321, an NTSC UL United States.
I love that white. I have really only ever had your typical black, gray, silver Sony Trinitrons, but white looks so good.
Yeah, I mean, it does. Like, that was the cool thing about this video. I did work on both of them were white. The next one's white too. You'll see. But this one, the JVC, and I don't know that this is the first actual JVC I believe I've ever seen in the white shell. It came with a nice white remote. It still looks a lot like that D series, but again, just composite.
Okay.
Audio out, RF. There's the little TV remote.
Yep.
All right.
So what did you have to do to this set? What was the problem? What did you do to it?
All right. So first off, this is the board, right? So like, the crazy thing is when I this is going to be in the video, but when I was working on this CRT, I turned it on first. I don't know. Maybe I could pull that clip up. We can watch that because it's pretty incredible, Lewis. I tried to play it. Yeah. Let's see.
What's incredible? Let's see.
All right, give me a second. I'm going to pause this. And I don't know that. I don't want to make everybody deaf on this audio clip by pulling it over too quickly. So what we're going to do is this is the... All right, cool. I'm going to pull this over into screen. This is when I first got it and I tried to test it, right? So you can just watch.
Well, that doesn't sound right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you can hear it on here, but there's a very weird screeching noise coming out of the set. The power light's on, but it like powers on. It just sounds awful, like squealing.
Oh, okay. Very high pitched squealing.
I don't feel anything on the tube.
No signs of life on the CRT.
Sorry, where'd you get this set? This is a custom.
This was sent in, yeah. And so I'll show you. I'll pull up the next clip here and show you what was going on. I'm gonna mute this.
Wait, I can already see the problem right there.
So this was a first for me. The literal anode cap was off. It was not even plugged in.
Jesus. Okay.
So yeah, and then the board was just flopping around in there.
So you think someone was in there before
Somebody
you?
was in there before me. They had pulled the anode cap off. They had unplugged the yoke right there. They had unplugged the degausser. Let's see. They had unplugged the degauss cable.
Jesus.
If I go over to the other side, yeah, they had unplugged that. Everything was unplugged, and let's go back and see if I can find that anode cap because you can see
someone's had to go and just realized I don't know what the hell I'm doing here.
Right, I don't even know how to put it back together. So let me see if I can find that anode cap clip where it shows. I think I pick up the anode cap, but so if I pause it here, it looks like it was like shooting shit right here on like voltage. Can you see it? I did pause it. Did I lose you?
Hello, Steve? Steve? Am I here? Have I gone? Nope.
Let's see.
Steve, we've dropped out.
Oh no.
I can't hear you.
All right, hang on. I think that let me see.
I don't hear nothing.
You don't hear anything? Hello? All right, let me go back. I see me. Are you still here, Lewis? I think Discord might have crashed our call. Lewis, can you hear me?
Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but
Oh, you hear? Okay, I can hear you. Okay, we're good. All right, so
you can hear me. Are we back?
yes. Okay, we're back. We're back,
Okay.
baby. All right, we're good. We're good. Oh yeah, thanks, Ronnie. We're here, everyone. Okay, so this thing is just a disaster. Someone's opened it up, pulled wires like a 5-year-old, and where are you at? You've started plugging stuff. How did it go when you plugged everything? Was it working? Or you had to do more than just plug everything back in?
I was going to say the crazy thing is I didn't. We'll go through the rest of the pictures here. I didn't actually have to do any work to get it back running. So I pulled it out. Yeah, I pulled it out and cleaned it and put it back in.
Anyway, sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, put it back in, tested it. Tested it. It works fine. But I just couldn't believe it. So since that happened, obviously since then I've not tested a single CRT without opening it from now on. Which sounds crazy, but I've never had that happen, and I'm never gonna let it happen again. But I couldn't believe it, and I was like filming. I was like, "What the heck?" So that's like the first CRT, and of course I did the cap kit cleaning, everything on that, and then I had to go on to this particular model didn't have a guide for it to be modified. I had to find a guide for like the same TV chassis and another TV. Let's get in here and go back, and we'll pull up some pictures and look at those.
And is the order from the customer, is it to leave it as is, or is it going to be some sort of RGB mode?
No,
what is the customer
every one of these was getting modified. So there we go. Here we go. Okay. So this is the RGB mod on this one. There we go, getting. Since it has composite audio or video, I'm sorry, you're using composite right there for sync. And this is your left and right audio input. And this purple is a ground, just a ground. If we look down in this area, this is where you inject red, green, and blue. And of course, you do have to remove some surface mount capacitors right there. 3 of them.
How did you know to remove those?
Those were listed on that guide, right? On the guide that I finally found. Hey, Belmont, welcome.
Yeah, Belmont's here, right on. He's off to pour some concrete. He's a hard-working man.
Hang in there. It's almost season. It's almost end of the season.
It is. That's true. You can't pour concrete in the middle.
So these 3, there's like capacitors on the other side. This is where you tie in. And you inject the red, green, and blue. And then over here is the blanking signal attaches there. And then this, or no, is that right? Yeah, I think that's blanking. And then this is ground. That's just an additional ground point. So this was installed to be tested. Ooh, there's a nice photo. So you do have to, I mean, it's not like, you do have to be proficient and I've obviously cleaned this eventually, but you have to be proficient in surface mount. I find this kind of soldering pretty easy, but of course I've done it a million times, so it's not. I know it can be intimidating.
If I'm looking here at this photo, the brown wire, which is blanking, you said.
Yes.
It's connected. There's still the surface mount resistor there, right?
Yeah. Look, you have to tie it in to the pad and share the pad with the surface mount resistor. So I understand like that. Now you may be able to attack to this pot right here because it's the same circuit, but it's a smaller point. Like right there, you see that I'm circling with that finger. My hand, you probably could attach it there because that's the same circuit, but that's where I went. And yeah, that would have to be a ground right there because that's pretty simple. You don't want to leave the wires long, you got to get it in there and get it nice and tight. And but anyway, you'll get to see in the videos, you get to see me do this numerous times, like actually do the work. Right. Let's go in.
And again, this is using the RGB board, the one that we've been talking about in the previous streams.
Yes, this is using the same Mux kit. You'll see that because that's what it does. You get those cables and you go in and then you go to the populated board. Now, this one had awful sound, and I tried to rebuild the sound block, but that didn't help it. But this is where I put the SCART. So I had to go on the
Okay,
side for
there,
this
that's fine.
one, right?
Yep.
But that worked out good. The reason being is there wasn't, even though it looks like there's room under there, that had a big, huge heat sink right there. So I couldn't fit it in there. And that's just, I mean, it came out looking awesome. Like this is, again, just a standard, like composite only television. And when you compare this to what it looked like originally, it's insane. The improvement. So, there you go. Metroid, of course. And you even get, you get to see some nice scan line. I mean, it's not like,
lovely.
It's not like super.
The whole aesthetic is great. So you said, sorry, did you get through those audio issues or not? Or did you find that what that was?
So here's what, let me get out of this and we'll go to you and I, and we'll pull this down. And that's the last picture from the file. So those, so here's some interesting things about this television, right? I believe that I found out that when you put audio in, it looks like it's just, even though it says it's stereo audio, it looks like it's just tying those together internally and then spitting the audio out mixed dual mono pretty much, right? So it's not got a very good, it's very cheaply made, the audio circuit altogether, and it didn't sound good. But the cool thing about it is it had the outs on the back where you could connect red and white RCA cables and go out from that and do audio out to a stereo receiver, or you could. It had a TRSS out on the front. And so the cool thing was when you use the TRSS out on the front, I would hook that up to my jam box, my boom box, and it sounded great. And then when you use the volume on the remote, it actually would just increase the volume on the boom box. But if you use the outputs on the back that are just the RCA 2 outs, it still works, but you basically have to turn the volume all the way down on the television because it would still send the volume through the speakers on the front, which just didn't sound good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see where you're coming from there.
So that was just something where I was like, yeah, we tried to rebuild the whole thing. It didn't help much. It was definitely an issue where it just didn't sound good on this TV. And I think it was just a cheap TV that they didn't really care about perfecting the audio in it.
Right, so the speakers weren't the top, but we've got a lovely picture there.
The picture came out
right
great.
on. So if you were using this with SCART, probably what the client would want to do is split off audio before it goes in the SCART and then send it to whatever.
No, well, that's what I mean. Like, actually, in this set, you didn't have to do that. You could send in the SCART, and then you could use either of those outs and get better quality coming out. So it actually,
I didn't understand. So
it had
the 3.5 on the front isn't affected by the volume.
Well, the only thing that it affects is you can actually use it to turn the volume up and down now using your stereo receiver through the volume independently. But when you use the back, it just doesn't let you. It still controls the speakers, and then you just have to use. So you turn it all the way down. I show more about the video, but yeah, it has audio outs that have good quality. It's just the internal audio on it. It's like a PVM.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
So
right on.
Yeah, that was the first one. So it's pretty fun. I'll grab a drink of water here.
Beautiful set. So that set is pretty much done. So it's ready to be sent back to the client now.
Actually, it's already gone.
It's done.
Yeah, it's gone.
Efficient.
All these are gone. These were all for the same person. Somebody had 3 20-inch CRTs. I actually sent a 4th one in after these 3 to get modded and restored. And they were all really rough. Like the final one was super rough. So there's that JVC and
did the client give you any backstory about where he got it from?
Not so much. Sometimes you tell me like, yeah, I got these, like somebody, I found it locally, bought it. One of them had like this lady, I kept calling, it's the last CRT that I did the longest video part for. And it had like this lady's name in Sharpie on it, Ethel. So I kept calling it Ethel, like the CRT. It has Ethel written on it. So it's so awesome. It's like definitely a grandma's name. And that one, dude, that one looks like Ethel spilled like a Dr. Pepper into the back of that one because there was sticky Dr. Pepper inside of it on the tube and the anode cap and everything. Like it had been cooked into the TV still.
But it still worked. Oh my god.
So Ethel. So yeah, drop a like if you love the name Ethel.
Yes, if you can. While we take this moment, while we're finished with the first set, please hit the like button. We appreciate that. We've been popping off in the chat. I mean, chat's going off as well. We're talking about European SCART. Moldunite has a PVM. We were just talking about that. He said he's got a PVM. He estimates about 50 hours on it. God damn, that's fresh.
Wow,
very fresh.
Yeah,
so
it's hard. It's hard to really know exactly, but there are, there's no hour counter to actually know that. You could like take a CRT tester and test the tube, and I'm sure it would say it's like super great condition.
But if it looks good, go for it. Like, buddy, if your set looks
good,
fine,
and especially if it's like clean inside and stuff, and you don't see a lot of heat build up. That would be a good way to tell if a set has been on. There are some points on some PVMs that will, like a CRT will get really hot around those resistors. So if you want to open it up and look around resistors on the boards and see if there's any scarring to the board where like it's just gotten too much heat under it, that won't happen if it's got 50 hours less in it.
Also, as I've understood, a great way to know if a TV is quality or not is the anode cap connected. Okay, that's the little hint that I've just learned from this. It's a little giveaway.
Yeah, that's always a good giveaway. The funny thing about the CRTs, this guy said they were all filthy and in really like rough shape when they got here. To be honest, they had to do a lot of. It's like they were again saved from some unknown locations in a dirty spot somewhere. But us middle-aged men, we love it, and other people, whoever wants to come in and enjoy. I know we're getting the younger generation enjoying the cathode ray
so
tubes.
Happy that these young blokes here are in the chat. They're getting into it as well. We've got it's cool. So have we got some more sets to look at?
We do. We've got two more.
Keep your questions going in the chat.
Yeah, keep it rolling. We're just gonna keep on rolling here, and let's see. Number 2. Which one were you? S40 or S21? I believe it was the S21. It is. Okay. So this is a Sony KV. Here we go. This one was fun too because it had a lot of challenges come up in the restoration process. It's another 20-inch one.
20.
So we've got.
I've got a bunch. I've probably got like 4 20-inch Sonys sitting in my storage room. Very common size.
Yes, excellent. This one was very, again, bare bones. It almost looks like the molar shape, like from that, I don't know, there was a CRT that was a computer from the early 2000s that was made by Macintosh that had like a molar shape. It's called the molar. This was almost like that. So just RF.
What a composite and RF.
Composite RF and a November of 1996. It's the same general time frame. Let's see what else we got in here. Hopefully I don't have like one of those. Yeah, this was actually put together well. Hopefully I don't have one of those George Costanza style pictures in one of these files accidentally. Where he like it's a picture of himself shirtless.
Steve with his donger out or something.
Now that would be a good joke to do sometime though.
What Steve
Maybe
does
like
in the
next
studio,
year I'll do it. Just be a picture of me and Cole like in our underwear sitting on a CRT bed.
Was this from the same client?
Yes, all these were the same client. A lot of, there's a common theme here. A lot of dust and dirt build up on these. This one didn't have rust or anything. It looked really clean.
Yeah, it's all
good
right.
tube.
Nice.
There's the tube. Made in the USA. That's a USA
Born
made.
in the USA.
Can you believe it?
That is
A USA.
freedom set.
I've not. That's pretty rare.
I would love that. Would be very interesting to have more information about tubes and sets. What factory was that? I think there's probably a documentary could tell us. But you're right. It's usually Japan or somewhere else in Asia.
Yeah, not very often that you see that. There's our speakers, and let's see. So this is what I had to do to this one. Yeah. So there, I restored it, no problems. But there was a kit to install S-Video, not RGB, just S-Video. So that you're going to see me. I did some experimenting with that. This is my S-Video plug-in where I made like a breakout cable over here. Because it's 3 pins, right? You got chroma, ground, and luma. And then that just feeds straight into the input. That's just a regular old S-Video input.
That's a radio input. So how come was it this set doesn't do RGB, or why did you choose?
Yeah, this set does not. This set has a jungle chip that will not. It's not RGB moddable right now. This chassis is not RGB moddable. But you can. I figured out a way while I was working on it to actually get full functionality out of it, and because if you just do this without doing the rest of the steps I do, you will lose your RF ability on the set. So there's the set getting redone. Let's see if I get in here closer. This is just the cap kit where all the caps were removed. There's more inside the tube being cleaned, all that and cleaned goodness in there. So here's what I did. I drilled a little hole here. I had to install a switch in this. Hopefully I got better pictures of it than just what I had talked about. And then there's me installing the back with the S-Video jack in there and epoxying it in. And then it looks normal there. So you see it's right above the video input, right above it. Yeah. And you still, so this one doesn't have different inputs. You add it and you use the same, like you can't use the same input simultaneously. It's just like where Sony would have an either or on like a PVM where it says you could use S-Video or composite. So it's like a shared line that you could do S-Video or composite on. Let's go back in here. Hopefully it'll show what how I actually did the modification, if I did any close pictures of that or not. We'll have to take some clips. So this is where you're going to do ground, and you're using the composite to actually do Luma sync, interestingly enough. And then over here, if you look over here, there is a jumper on this set, on this R308. So this is a jumper that is just a jumper that just has the chroma signal running through it, where it's running into the feed for RF, which is like right here. This whole thing right here is the RF footprint. So that's what you do. You're intersecting that, but if you don't incorporate a switch, the signal goes back black and white. You lose chroma on RF. Like if you send RF and you do this mod. So I had to add another cable and then add a switch where it just turns it from S-Video mode to or regular mode.
And how did you know that? Did you just test it and be like, oh shit, now RF's black and white?
Like, and that's kind of what I was doing in a lot of this video. Let me get back out of here because I don't think I have a lot of great pictures of it. If I find them, I'll pull it back up. So, yeah, what I was doing is there was a guide written. It's so damn funny about the timing on this. I found the guide on the CRT database, and but it didn't have the switch in it. So I tested it and I showed myself testing it. I'm like, oh, great, S-Video works, but I want to see about RF still working. I test RF and it's got no color. And I'm like, well, the chroma signal is what I removed. And so that's an open circuit on one end now. Because all I did was I took the jumper out, and then instead of it jumping through over, it's going straight from where I can inject it now and send in this chroma through the
S-Video.
It's very
good that you worked that out. Like you were able to just sort of figure, oh, I fucked with chroma. Oh, right. I bet you that's what.
Right. So I was like, well, I bet if
I
was like, if I could get the TV to go back to normal mode, since it's just the chroma, it's just a single dip switch that you just got to go like, this side's going to where it's in like the normal mode where the jumper's closed. And then this side goes to where you're in S-Video mode and the circuit is open and you're using your line. So I figured that out. I talked to Andy King about it, and he had just published it like the day I was talking about it. He had already said, oh yeah, I figured that out too randomly. And so also I wound up going in and tuning the signal a little bit. So on the chroma line, I installed a 0.1 microfarad capacitor, which is like it looks like a chiclet, the round capacitors, and they're little, and there's no like, it's just one direction. There's no positive or negative lead on it. So you just add that in the chroma line to cool that signal a little bit, and then you can also terminate that video signal to ground with a 75 ohm terminator, and then it cleans up the signal image even more. So it makes the S-Video look really clean and sharp. And so that's how you tune the signal, similarly to like the RGB stuff where you have to add resistor and you take each color to ground with a 75 ohm resistor. So I incorporated those into that, incorporated the switch, and then that's what it does at the end. It works perfectly. You have it in one way for composite and RF normal, and then you just flip the switch, which I installed under that front door. I should have some pictures of it actually finished.
So the door closes and you don't even see nothing on the front.
Right. So if we look at, let's go back. Let's look at this. If you look at the front, the switch is open there.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And like, that's the cool thing. You look back here and again, it looks like it would if Sony had done it, because that S-Video plug is stock looking. And then I made the disconnect in the back in case somebody had to open this up again, and then they could get it off without damaging it, like without having to have a long cable. I try to make a disconnect point. And then the switch just went in right under there.
Oh yeah.
And then that closes, reveals or hides the switch. The only thing else that's under there is a headphone jack again. Nothing else. So,
okay, yep. That's the headphone jack.
To me,
that whole set looks clean. So you clean that as well, right?
Oh yeah, I had to clean the whole thing, take it all apart. Actually, that one I had to reset. Thanks, Rob Cat. I had to seat the yoke. That's why there was a couple pictures of the yoke reseating. So it's a lot of work. Thankfully, a client like appreciates all that and is willing to pay for it and loves the TVs. And like I said, man, they came out so awesome afterwards. It's an awesome collection.
S-Video looks stunning on that set. It would look lovely.
Yeah, it's not a big. It's a big jump, to be able to get S-Video into it and not lose any of the other functionality, because that's what I said. I didn't really want to get rid of the RF support on any of the TVs if they did that good, because you still could use that. Might find devices that only do RF.
Yeah, and on that set, I mean, you've got a quality good set from '96, really the golden era. I mean, top quality RF is as good as composite. We've got composite in, and S-Video, I mean, you get into that stage where I don't want to speak like I'm sort of a heretic, but S-Video is going to look great, very authentic. Like, do we need that sharpness of RGB? Oh, it's got to be the most highest quality. Like, S-Video is going to look great on that.
Yeah, it's a really nice looking upgrade to that set.
I think so too.
So there you go. You gotta do your homework, because there's no way to know without researching. The good thing is Sony made TVs with a lot of the same chassis. So it's like whatever chassis, I can't remember the exact name of this one off the top of my head, but whatever that chassis is, it's very documented that it's not an RGB moddable one. So if you end up with a set with that chassis, you can't do it. Now, there are some other chassis like that could do RGB and even add component, which is nuts, from the late 90s. I've got one of those here. It's Bob's, but I haven't done it yet. It's coming up soon.
Right on. So yeah, it was just a matter of connecting to getting S-Video into that was just a matter of connecting to the right point. Sorry, you might have said that, but I forgot. Did you have to add, was there any resistors or anything like that, or is just connecting into the points?
No, that's what I said too. We had to tune that signal down. So you do have to, it's actually an interesting way I did this because I went in after the fact and added this because I wanted to tune the signal. So I was able to easily inject the, I was able to easily inject that little capacitor on the chroma line. So the chroma line first needs a capacitor just right in it. So pretty close to where I had it just in the line. I just severed the line, put the capacitor in there, one end on each, and then put heat sink around it, or heat shrink tubing, around it, and then put heat shrink tubing around that part. And then I needed to go and get the signal. I needed to take that same chroma signal and terminate it to ground with a 75 ohm terminator. And I thought I'd found
And how did you, like, the capacitor in this, was this in the docs on the CRT database? Or how
yes,
did you know
that's
the
what.
right
Well, that's what I reached out to Andy King, and he said, "Oh yeah, that's actually what I'm working on. And please remember to do this." And so he told me to do that. So it's okay, I'll do that. And so I just added it. So let me see. I can't believe I didn't take a picture of it afterwards, but I didn't. So what I ended up doing though, to tune that, let me see if I can find it. A picture of the actual connection together. No, let's go back a little bit further. Keep going, keep going. No, I have at least a picture that shows the switch connected together. Still going back to the okay, this is it. So if we look down here at this, right?
Yes, there we go. Yep.
So I can't remember the exact order, but let's say the yellow is the middle is the ground pin, and the blue is chroma. All I did was I stuck a literal 75 ohm resistor in the in between the cables right here, like just bridged it right there at that point by jamming one, trimmed it down the legs and jammed it in the same spot that's all going together in, and that worked perfectly. Because I was like, how am I going to ground that? It's kind of difficult. Like, oh, I also I went in and I epoxied this end to make it, safe. So I didn't want it to ground out once it was done. Like I put a little epoxy in that end, so I couldn't go in there and ground it there. So that was how I did that one. And again, that took it took a lot of thinking and troubleshooting. So it was a little fun. It wasn't too difficult, but like I said, we were able to figure it out.
And again, like these are, I mean, this is, I know I talked about this in the last show that we did, but you're really working at a higher level than you did, I would say, even than a year ago. Like, what you're pulling off, what you're able to do, mods like this. Like, yes, you can, like, yes, it takes a lot of work, but this was much more difficult for you a year ago. I can really see your skills and your ability to diagnose these issues has really stepped up a level. You're doing well, mate.
Well, thank you, man. It's awesome for you to say that. I appreciate it. It's definitely been working more and more and more. Hey, JB, 6th Street Garage, welcome in. Yeah, it's been like a journey. I just feel like it again and I hope that maybe like if I could continue doing this for another 10 years, by that point, I don't know, maybe I'll be able to figure out a way to have like a whole shop that does custom shells for PVMs and shit, like eventually it'll be like the Orange County Customs garage of CRTs, and you just... And
custom shells where it's at. Every console's got a new shell these days. It seems like I'm always logging on Twitter. There's some.
It would be awesome to have some kind of custom shell for.
Oh yeah, you could make your own prison TV essentially.
Yeah, basically, if you just get that molding done. So there's a lot of things, and it's really great to have people that come in and want to appreciate the work and actually want to get it done.
Right, that's nice. That there are these clients who have that faith in you. Hey, Steve, I got these sets that They're not like they're not being overcharged, but they understand this is what they need and it's gonna cost them something, and they're cool with that, and everybody understands. It's in a really good place right now.
Yeah, thank you. That's like I said, it's hard work, and thankfully it's been going well, and it's like I get to concentrate on these kind of things. All right, so let's take a second. What about this? What about the drop? I mean, I don't think we've talked about it at all. We could switch topics for just 1 second before we look at this last CRT. What about the reappearance of the open source CRT? Right, we got tagged
my God,
on
Thomas
that.
Dady.
Did you get any contact with him?
Yeah, so I guess to give everyone the experience. So back in the day, one of the earliest podcasts that Steve and I did, we talked with a gentleman. His name is Thomas Dady, and he was producing what's called the open source CRT. It was a ability, a PCB, a hardware schematics to connect to any tube. You could just get the tube and with some tweaking, replace the chassis, replace the components that connect up to that tube. And after that, Thomas went, we talked with him, we had a good talk, and it's obviously a very interesting topic. A lot of people are interested in this idea that we wouldn't need the chassis anymore. Unfortunately, Thomas went a little bit silent. That's fine. Different things going on in life, but we've heard different reports that he's come back, that he's demonstrating this at different fairs, and that he's releasing to GitHub. His GitHub shows that he's checked in stuff. I wrote to Thomas and I didn't hear anything back from him. So I don't know, maybe I think he likes
busy.
me. I don't think
well, he's probably just busy. I wouldn't read much into anything like that. I'm sure he's just like, probably gets a million questions and doesn't check his social media all the time. It's not his main thing. But it was cool to see like the reappearance of it, and it was like a video clip that was shared with us from YouTube from a computer festival that he's showed it off before at. I did notice that there was some things working on there that had been discussed in theory more, that like there was a control, you could control the deflection on his actual CRT now with just a tablet next to it. Or
that's nuts.
Yeah,
that you
so
can
that
just like
was
a
fun.
web interface to configure your CRT.
Right,
Nuts.
you probably could make it do all kinds of stuff if you wanted to just program that web interface to like make the CRT spin the image. I bet you could do all kinds of nuts things with it. But I know that like in the project form that it's in now, it's like, man, it's going to be difficult to pull it off. You'd probably have to have, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's like one of those things where maybe one day we'll get lucky and Thomas will spend a whole bunch of time on it and just make it where it's more of a accessible thing to do. But it's just, I think it's just right now it's still going to be difficult for a lot of people to be able to do everything that it probably takes to do it and pull it off.
Definitely a long-term project, definitely a long-running thing, quite specific to the tube right now. I wonder, it'd be funny if the people who end up reverse engineering or re-engineering what Thomas did were the Chinese guys who were selling those new old CRTs. That'd be perfect for those blokes. They got all those disused tubes over there. They're flogging them off.
Yeah.
If they could take that, then that's the real winner. But yeah, unfortunately, I wish we had more information. We've really just got that one video that Thomas posted that it's a thing, but we don't know more.
Imagine what if you could offer, what if there was that level where you could go in and do a consultation over like a Skype call and have an iPad pulled up and be like, oh, let me, your tube, you're too far to the right. Your aspect ratio is off a little bit. Let me check that for you. And then just make adjustments from your phone and it'd show up over across the world in some other person's CRT.
That would be nuts.
I mean, that's insane to kind of think about a future with that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's great to see that project coming back. I also found another project that's gotten more traction lately, and it's the The G mod. Have you heard of the G mod?
G mod? No, I haven't heard the G mod. Sorry, go.
The G1 mod kit. Let's look at it. So this is a G1 mod kit.
Sorry, pardon me, Steve. I was just popping off in chat with different things going on, helping out with.
No. Go ahead.
With what's happened there. G1.
Look at this, everybody. We're gonna look at the G1. If I can get back here to the right screens. So this is a G1 mod kit from RGB Mods. RGBmods.com is the website. So I'll drop this link in the chat, copy it, and just drop it right there in the chat. Whoop, if it'll let me. There we nope, that's my that's a link back to this chat, or that's a link back to this stream. Let me copy that, and I'll send that link, and everybody can go and check this out. So this is a this actually looks nicer. Like the one I had seen prior to this looks pretty like it's on a breadboard. So it's got all kinds of anyway. There's an install video on here now. So what this does is there's certain TVs that you can incorporate this in, and it adds a G1 voltage mod that sharpens the image by using this potentiometer. But it's very crazy complex mod, and the way it works is, anybody wants to go there and watch the video is a good idea, and I'm going to try this eventually. I'll order some of these kits and see. So one end of the kit goes to a ground, which is pretty obvious on the end of the G, or a ground next to the flyback. The other end goes on one of the pins of the flyback, but you don't know which pin. To find out the pin that you need, you actually have to take a voltage probe while the CRT is running and tap it with a probe on an oscilloscope, and you look for this negative voltage pattern. So all of these could go a little bit into this negative voltage zone, like on the G1, but there's one line that could go like negative 200 on the voltage of the flyback. And this is getting way crazy. Just don't try to think about what the hell all this really means. You're just looking for that one pin on the flyback. So the way to find it is to either do it that way, or there's another way if you don't have an oscilloscope, and it's literally by hooking your ground and soldering your ground to the board, and then soldering a cable to the other end, and then you individually solder it to each one of the pins, and then you take a voltmeter and then you test the output with your voltmeter. You test the output and you see which one's going into this negative 100 volt space. But that's like way tougher. You could probably screw something up, and if you bridge that, you're going to probably shock yourself because it's high voltage, live voltage in that negative 100 volts. So anyway, it's either you do it by process of elimination, doing it that way, or you do it because what you'll do is you'll get to one pin that'll go to like negative 30, and it'll show that on that board when you test it with a multimeter, and then you'll finally find one that's between negative 150 and 200, and that's what you need to do. So it's really wild. Like you turn, it just allows the G. Did you have to sever the G1 line where it goes into the neck board, into the tube, because that's also the part of the line. And again, you're just adding a potentiometer in between it. that takes the signal,
the image.
You're tuning between. You're using that, and then you're using the screen voltage, which is the G2 voltage on the flyback. It's basically just spreading it out and giving it two focus adjustments, or two focus adjustments slash. It's more of a slow focus slash G1 adjustment. But you're basically able to focus that beam in more, and it turns like composite schnot TV images into super sharp, like high res equipment when it actually works. So
when it actually works,
there's a couple times where he said that again. This is very experimental, and it seems to be evolving as we go. because the original G1 board again was just a breadboard. Let's see if we can find that.
Yeah, I'm looking at this guy. I didn't
explanation.
even know about RGB mods. Looks like he's got a sets for sale. It's very, very interesting.
So if we look at this, there's actually a file here. I'm going to put this over and we'll look at it. For this guide, look at it all together.
Cool.
So this is like the guide that's been put together right now. Everybody can look at, by Dave Astor and Dream CRT. There's a lot of stuff going on that people are working on. They're trying to make CRTs that can take basically any kind of input, but to do a lot of these things, you have to rebuild circuit boards and introduce new ones. So this is the TV that they did. This is a breakdown of. So this is what we got, right? We got a ground here. And this is the flyback pin that I was telling you that's between 150 to 250 VPP or negative. It's negative voltage is what you're looking for. And then this is the circuit board that's built. And then this is the output, ground, and then this goes up to the G1 on the neck board to just kind of simplify it. And then this is actually how you can make the breadboard yourself.
Okay, right on.
And there's the input. See, that's the kits I saw. Basically, just looked like this made, but now it looks like there's actual kits of it. And this is what I'm talking about. So there's a ground pin, and then this is the pin that they probed and found works for that television. But it's not always the same pin, so it's not going to be the same pin depending on the TV. And then you go in and you. Sorry.
PO17 was commenting in the chat that this mod would benefit the most from a lower resolution set.
Yeah.
Is that your take on it as well?
I mean, I would think so too. This would be a completely wasted mod on a super high-end set that already is really sharp, like a PVM. I wouldn't even do it. This would be, again, something I would... Like, what I want to try this on are those... I want to try this on those CRTs we worked on before that are the ones that are in my storeroom that we worked on before that were the RF only. Like, those would be great to see, right? If this should be capable on those. All you got to do is have a flyback voltage that's present on every flyback at a G1 spot. Everything's got that, and a ground spot. So this should be doable. I don't know that the results will be great. Sometimes the results might not turn out better because you have to like increase the positive voltage. You're fine tuning it with negative voltage. So if you bring down the negative voltage, you're actually decreasing the tube voltage. And what happens is like the tube screen brightness will just go away. So you have to end up cranking up the G1 voltage on the flyback, the positive voltage, and then you're balancing it with negative voltage to sharpen it. But if you have too much negative, you're going to get rid of the screen altogether. It's very experimental and weird.
It is. Right, and that's gonna be the thing, that because all CRTs are like a little bit different with the chassis or some sort of configuration, that's what makes these mods so difficult. That, okay, find the point, right? There's really not like one thing for all CRTs, so it's extremely specific, and you have to find how it relates to your particular set.
Yes, and I think Zion Farm was asking me if this would work on a CRT chassis. I don't see why it wouldn't. And the thing about this, now you do have to isolate your G1 pin directly on your tube. So a lot of times that means cutting a trace. Now you could always cut the trace, and if it doesn't work, go back and fix the trace. But again, you'd still have to find the right point on the flyback. The G1 point is super easy to find. It's usually marked right on the neck board, so you could just get that easily. Can be undone, so if you don't like the results, you can undo it. But a CRT for an arcade chassis is so much like so much similar to a standard television, except it doesn't have all the inputs board, and it doesn't have all the RF tuning equipment, sound equipment. it's just the bare bones of it, that it should be able to do it if you want to try.
Should be able to do it, right? If you can, but again, if you can find the right points, identify the thing. If you can find the right points, identify how it might hook on, then in theory, yes.
So it's not a service that I've told anybody I would offer yet. I would need to try it a few times and see how it works, see how long it takes. But I have all the equipment to do it, and it should be pretty simple. All you have to do is turn it on and probe for a certain waveform. So literally that would just be like poop, nope, not poop, poop, poop.
And that's going to be a great video, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you just your testing of it and your analysis, not even like good or bad, just what difference this mod makes, because it clearly makes some difference. I think that would be a very fascinating video for a lot of people to see.
Yeah, super
If
sharpness.
you ever thought about making a 10-minute video again, Steve, I don't know, you're in the 90-minute zone right now.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, that might be one that I just do by itself. That'll be one I'll finally make for the channel that is the CRT bunker, which I haven't done anything with in like 6 weeks.
Oh, yeah, back in the day. Sure. Well, you're a busy guy. You got a lot of sets. You got a lot of
it's all right. Yeah, so that's those are some new exciting things happening. Of course, still got the awesome Sector Sunthar products that are coming, and those RGB kits are awesome. Working.
The Mox kits, you mean?
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
You've
you've just got a steady stream of them arriving now. It seems like every set is getting one of these days.
Yeah, I wish I had more of that. More that like would do it, but it's not. It's dependent on the exact TV. So now it's like hard enough to find good CRTs. So if you find them, you got to hang on to them and see if they're RGB moddable.
Exactly. The best CRT is the CRT that you have.
That's right. So, what's I'm thinking about maybe saving the last one. And what do you think?
Yeah, what do you mean, like for next?
Yeah,
for
maybe
next
that's
stream?
like so let's just open it up, see if anybody has any questions they want to talk about for a minute, and then maybe
we've been the chat's been popping off today. So many things. We were talking about and I didn't mean to be rude, but we were talking to who was here before. Sixth Street Garage was asking what's the best TV set, and part of me because and as we say, the best CRT is the CRT that you can get access to. That there really isn't one CRT that's the best one. They're very hard. How to say it? CRTs are so big and heavy that it screws with supply and demand. Usually there's supply and there's demand that dictates whether you can find them and price and all that sort of stuff. But they're so difficult to ship that you can't just say, well, a CRT on the other side of the country, I'll just buy it and get it. It's so hard. So the best CRT you can get is the one that you can find. And even if it's RF, that's still a good set, because top quality, like good quality RF is composite. That's essentially what it was. So if you can find one of those reflex encoders from Mr. Add-ons, which I'm not sure if they're in stock, but that takes composite, encodes it to RF, and allows it to go over RF, or just buy an old VHS player and pipe the composite into the VHS player and then RF into your set, you're going to get a great experience. So it's not all about the sharp PVMs. It's really about, I don't know, that feeling, if that's what you're down for.
Yeah, that's a fun thing to talk about. I've actually gotten some new RF equipment recently that is they're old channel broadcasters that you put, they send off multiple channels of information. So they were used usually in churches and like small colleges where you'd have a office and you'd hook up 4 or 5 VCRs or whatever kind of media you would through composite, and you'd play that, and then you'd have local channels running through coax all throughout your campus or your church building. And then you would have, like, you could go on your TV and hook it up So I've got a couple of those machines where you literally like you send in. It has multiple inputs where you can send in different composite video inputs, and then it sends out multiple RF inputs, and you just program what channel, like standard definition channel, and you can go up to like channel 82 or something with this device. And so it's really I don't know about lag or anything if it does that, but it's
Didn't you have that device that was gonna let you broadcast your own TV channels through the cable that was built in to your house? We were talking about that.
That's one of the parts of this thing. Like you got to get a bunch of these, and that's how you do it. You send out the signal. Like when I was, so this is what I remember when I was in college, way back in the early 2000s.
Dinosaurs roam the earth.
That's right. 20 years ago now, over 20 years ago. They would have, you go and you still had coax, everything. You still had CRTs. You go into the dorm room, you'd plug your TV into a coax, and they would have their own channels. And that's what they were doing. Like you'd have different channels than what's on the actual news. You'd have the news channels that were like regular, and then you'd have these other weird channels that weren't normally there that would be playing movies and stuff. And it's just these devices they had in a closet somewhere playing movies on timers and sending it out over like channel 24 on VHF broadcast. Back before HD, when you could send all that. Oh. So you could take that and that's the plan, is to hopefully set that up someday. I have so much crap I bought that I never got to use.
I hear you. Right. That project or thing. I've got a big list. I write them all down in a little software. I have like all the projects, and it's very long. I'm never gonna get up at the. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bought a Atari cartridge that lets you play movies off it through the Atari.
Wow!
But I haven't even had time to test it, like at all. It's still in the box. It's just a circuit board. It's like from a project that the guy sells, and it's like comes on available like once a year. What's up, Rodrigo?
Yeah, Rodrigo, what's the CRT scene like in Argentina? Can you get them? What inputs, like, was it like America with only like composite, or not Euro, I guess, I don't know, Euro style with SCART? Like, tell us about CRTs in Argentina. Very interesting. Yeah, man, I got stuff here. I've got a Game Gear I need to recap. I'd like to do that. I've got a Game Boy Pocket that I need to do the screen mod on. It's got the burnt screen, and I've got the there's like, you get it from AliExpress, and you can choose replace the screen, not with the IPS, but I think it's the backlight, and also repairs the. So I've got that.
Oh, is it are you doing the backlight kit where you gotta like scrape?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, that's so funny. We should set up and do that stupid and ruin our Game Boys together. I've got a Game Boy that's the regular Game Boy that I've also got. I found a box of Game Boy parts, and I found 2 of those backlight kits with the bivert chip that I've not done. Oh, nice. He's got a 1350 Rodrigo, which is a PVM that does all the I think it does all the region
new old
videos.
Stock. Lucky find. Argentina's the place to be. They got steaks and new old stock PVMs. Fuck yeah, I'm going to Argentina.
That's fun. Let's try to do that, Says, on the next one. Let's try to set up and
all right. Okay, yeah, we can
goof Game Boys up together. And if anybody out there wants to join along, let's do it. Let's try it next week. Maybe we'll do that on our stream. We'll unless you're
next
out
week
of
I
town
can't. We're gonna be in 2 weeks.
Okay,
because
2 weeks.
No, because
fine.
Next Saturday I'm already traveling to San Diego.
Okay, that's right.
Early in the morning, so
Let's
I won't have that.
Let's skip next week.
I'm back.
And then
when I'm back, we're gonna do the Game Boy repair screen. Right, you got to scrape the crap off the screen, and then there's the yeah. So it will do the backlight and repair the burning on the screen. Is my understanding of what this. And I bought the thing for literally like $4 off AliExpress.
So you pull the sheet off. Now the darn the pocket's harder from what I remember. Easier to you could pull the whole screen out, but the ribbage cable can be damaged. I sat for like about 20 minutes doing this with this stupid utility knife to try to sharpen it. Because I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And I'm like, no, I don't think I have the patience. Because it's literally like doing this and between these flaps and busting
right, you
it.
gotta be really careful, and I'm for sure, I'm gonna bust my fucking set. Absolutely, we can guarantee I'm gonna bust.
And then
the
we'll
screen,
be
but it's okay.
ordering the ISP from Board for $50 to replace in our screens.
Yeah, the IPS screen. Right, we're gonna break it and then eventually put the replacement in. So I've got a pocket that works and works fine, and then I've got a second pocket which has the burnt screen that I probably got from the junk in Japan. So yeah, it doesn't work. So at least
let's do it. Let's do it together in a couple weeks.
We got that one,
Unless something crazy happens over next week, and we've got something better happening. I don't imagine. Tomorrow's my wedding anniversary.
Oh, congratulations! So what are you gonna? You got some plans going out to dinner?
Not at all.
Like
I have to do something. Thankfully, I don't live in New York City, so it's not very hard to get a restaurant and get in and eat. So we'll see. It is, golly, 2000. It's 16 years, right? Yeah.
16 years, my friend. You've done well.
17, actually.
Very
17th.
Well.
17th anniversary.
She hasn't yet worked out what a loser you are. That's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, she's just what, devoted and stubborn, right? You know, you don't want to give up on something. Loyal.
That's great.
That's a good way of saying it.
Nice.
Loyal. Wonderful loyalty. There's still
loyal.
loyalty out there here in America. Beautiful. We still love each other.
Nice, man. So okay, so we got the anniversary. We got the dinner. Do something nice.
Yeah.
There.
Man, we're getting like the late crowd rolling in here. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's very nice. I'm super happy everyone's coming along here. I was just looking through my list. As I said, I got a little list of mods that I want to do. So I've got an old shuttle PC from that Windows XP era. Remember Shuttle? They were the original small mini PCs.
Yeah.
When that was the first time that was ever a thing. And now we've got a lot of very small mini PCs all the time. So I've got one of those XP era that I just need to rebuild, maybe put a better hard disk in or something, put a SSD and have a very period authentic XP thing. So I've got to rebuild that. Nice. That's on my list. Oh, and also my buddy. So Steve, I've got my buddy Mickey, who's in Stockholm, Sweden. And he's the guy who runs the account These Rays, and he has a business renting out PVMs and BVMs and monitors for film shoots, for cool cafes that want to have some screens there, maybe a cafe, like a fashion place wants something. Like if you need to rent a PVM maybe for an artistic display, or you want some cool shit in your cafe or a fashion store, he rents them out, and he does good business too. He's got a big collection of them. So I was trying to hook up a time. We're going to do it when I come back from America. We're going to hook up a time because he's on the same time zone as me. So it works out well. Just to chat with Mickey about what he does over there. And he was also asking me, do I want to sell him some of my sets? And I think I do.
Yeah. Clear some room.
I think I want to sell him because I've got at least 3 14-inch BVMs that I could sell him. But they're like in various states of disrepair. I'm going to have to get them, put them together, and I just don't have like any time whatsoever. So I do want to sell some shit to Mickey because it's just sitting there in my storage room right now. But we're getting there. So we're going to have a chat with Mickey in November sometime. We're going to find a quiet date and hear about his rental business, how he deals with so many PVMs and BVMs, repairing them, keeping them going, what happens if there's a problem. And he's doing a lot of like video wall stuff. Like they'll want 12 at a time for a video wall. So very interesting to speak to him.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that man, you gotta, it's like anything. You gotta get on the good market, right? Everybody's talking about need to sell some CRTs. I got some CRTs for sale too if you want to buy some. Everybody come buy yourself. Don't sell them. Just kidding. Now I got the one I did on live stream last week. I did a Toshiba full restoration on the stream. That one's for sale. I haven't listed it up yet on the Patreon, but it will be pretty soon. So yeah, it's like I gotta clear out some. My thing too is I got too many of them here because I'll keep looking for new ones and finding really cool weird ones that I want to buy, but there's no more space for me to keep doing that unless I start getting stuff kind of out of the way too, right? You kind of got to leave some space for new things. It's a good idea to be moving them somehow out of your collection, some of them.
Yeah, you got to keep them going. So I also think, like, as much as I want to preserve them, I'm like, I'm probably never really going to need those 3 14 inches. I've got enough going on here. Or is that the age where you get old enough that you're like, I have enough. Like, maybe I'll be okay.
Well, we definitely have enough. We definitely have enough, but it's not like, it's like anything. That's again, like, you think there's never like a rich guy. He's like, oh, I have enough money. Those super rich guys, they're like, I want more. I want more. It's like more and more. The more you get, the more like you're trying to hoard it. But I feel like too that that's a good thing for me to be able to get things out, because then new things can come in. Like, I've been salivating over trying to get my time to get my 1972 Trinitron torn open and make some adjustments to, and I just haven't done it yet.
What are we going on here?
Yes, I do have that GDM 520.
You do have that?
Someone's asking about that. Yeah, I do these listings on Patreon. And if I do a listing, yeah. And you can just, I mean, there's $1 Patreon level, so you can be on there to get that, right. If that's all you're interested in. And I usually do post them there, even if there's a lot of people that follow Patreon now that don't pay, so I'll post it there too. You just have to be an active member to actually send me a DM.
Oh, okay. So you don't even need to.
Yeah, you don't even have to pay. If you see one show up, you can just go pay $1 and get on there and buy it.
That's nice to be. I mean, you gotta buy.
There's other people I appreciate that support it, but if that's all you're interested in.
Right. I mean, how many? These are the questions. How many CRTs are enough? How many should be? I'm thinking about the future. What am I gotta collect them now because I'm never gonna get them again. What is that anxiety inside of me? Why am I collecting them with some sort of anxiety? I think for me, it's about, does someone genuinely, like, I'll collect them now, but if I see someone who would like it, I'm really happy to give it, or like let them have it at a really cheap price. Like my buddy Vlad, I gave him the 14-inch for like less than $100 or something like that. I'm really happy that Vlad got a 14-inch BVM, my buddy, right? Like, if someone around here is, if they go to a good home, then I'm really good with that. But we're all hippie socialist here in Europe. We're not in United States of capitalism in America, baby.
Right. Well, see, you get the same. Unfortunately, you get the same thing where here you'll get people that are like, oh, I'll buy it, and then they'll buy it to go sell it to make money off it. Sometimes it's like, right. I mean, it's absolutely it's not like that. So it's very not always like that, but there are times where, right, if like I had somebody like from my wife's work at the university be like, oh yeah, those old TVs, I wish I could find one. And I'm like, well, if you're just looking for an old TV, I could definitely help you find one, right? I mean, there's ones that I have in my collection that are ones that I've picked up off the garbage and haven't even done anything besides test yet. So it's like, you could definitely get you something that gets you home, get something working for you if you're just looking for a TV to have fun with.
Do you think, how to say, to be respectful to your clients, and we try to be, like, do you think, are there some people that like send it to you, get it professionally repaired, and then resell it again? And that's not bad. I'm not saying that's bad, but do you think there are some people like that? Well,
I have had people that like did that years ago, and then I'd have somebody reach out to me and say, hey, I bought this. Someone said you restored it, or it had this stuff from you with it. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. So that has happened. I don't know of anybody actually like buying it and thinking there's room to turn around and flip it for a profit right away. That's probably not happening at this moment. Now, there will be people that will find ones for probably cheap to nothing, that might be BVMs or PVMs, they could send it to me and have me restore it, repair it, and then they could sell those if they have nothing in it to begin with. For the most part, then they could turn around and sell a restored service one by me if they wanted. And I mean, it's not really a big deal. That's kind of the way I try to tell people. I don't care. That doesn't bother me.
Sure, I mean, that's just business, right? Yeah.
Right.
That's funny because it's a selling point on eBay to say, oh, this was repaired by Save on Pat.
Right.
I mean, I wonder if it's like, this is a selling point. This was repaired by Steve from RetroTech.
Yeah, or people, I try to keep people that, people just love them and don't usually, I don't know. It definitely depends, right, on who the person is. I won't say, there's definitely people that have gotten in the hobby and gotten out of the hobby probably and sold their PVM to somebody else. But it doesn't happen as much as probably other things. It's not as easy an item to sell. People, I think, get it and they want to keep it probably, even if they're not using it all the time. Even if you go sit it in a closet for a year, the peace of mind of knowing that you could, as long as it's in a nice climate, low humidity environment, you can pull the thing out, pop it right on, and have an awesome day with it. And then you're like, okay, and then put it back and maybe not use it for a while. I don't know, right? Or just something that you use for certain occasions.
Sure. It's I think so too. That it's you can, it's not an investment, I think. Like, maybe you get it. If someone did want to make money off, it's usually the flipping is where the money would be, not to like keep it. I'm going to keep this in the closet and then in 10 years, this is what I'm going to retire from. It's usually just people flipping them for short-term gains. And look, if someone wants to send it to you and you charge them a fair market price and then they turn around and sell it, that's just regular. That's capitalism. That's not even like normal. That's just normal. Like how it goes. Happens. They're just providing a value-add service. It's not even a bad thing in that way. Like I could find an old car, give it to a guy to repair it, awesome, and then go in on sell it. But
it's also nice to be able to turn around and like have a piece of hardware that is somewhat desirable that you can turn around and like if you did need to get rid of it, you could sell it, and it's like it get out of it what you put into it most likely, unless you put a ton into it and really
that's a nice point. They're typically not losing value.
No.
And again, if you don't, if you're not like doing crazy shit, right? If you're not like if you're not buying at crazy inflated prices, if you're buying it maybe not super low, but even something that we might say quote unquote fair market price, even if you think that's a lot these days, the set typically isn't losing value. So even if you have to sell it in a while, you can still get a fair amount of your bucks back for it. Again, if you take into account shipping, which can also be difficult to arrange in certain situations.
Yeah, there's the PO17 does bring up a good point. There are people that, like I said, they will come and, I mean, and I've had to get on to, I have a Patreon, with the Patreon, people get access to the Discord server, and every once in a while you'll have somebody that says, hey man, I'm just trying to help people get a CRT, and somebody else jumps in and, starts acting aggressive, wants to buy them, and then wants to start listing them for sale. And then I have to go in and tell those people, hey, I understand, like, it's no big deal, but no, this isn't like the place we're trying to do that. That's not really what we're doing here. You're not in trouble or anything, but I don't want to have to really bring it up again. You're not like, you can't come into like the CRT room, and then try to take all the, love and then go resell it to make a living off of it. And so it's, I think there's that. There's also like these, occasionally people will get huge lots for a really good deal. And then that's actually a time when, getting them serviced and then reselling them, you could still make money doing that if you get something like that. What's up, Zan? So the thing that always is going to hold this together is it's just there's less and less and less. And I mean, I can't even think about like 5 or 6 years from now. It's going to be even more difficult to find them anywhere, really. That
it is. I was just we were just commenting with so in the chat right now we've got Carl, and Carl is also in Estonia here, and I can know that because Carl is a very Estonian name, so that triggered me straight away. And I was commenting that when we first started this podcast, Steve, a few years ago, 3 years ago or more, really it was still the tail end of the golden age. I was still picking up sets left, right, and center. Every week there was another good Trinitron that came up, something that I might want to get. And now it's very slim picking. So we've even seen, and that's fine. That's just how it goes. I'm happy that I got my sets. I got in while I could. So yeah, you're right. How is that now going to be in the next 3 years? And it seems like the hobby is still gaining traction broadly. We're still talking about retro gaming. We're still interested in this stuff. So yeah, it's, and we know, and we really quite definitely know that new sets are not going to be produced. It's just not going to happen. The closest that could come is Thomas Deity's open source CRT, which might let us take old tubes and connect new electronics up to them, but new tubes are not being made.
Right. And I think that other thing that's funny from back in those times when we're talking about starting this podcast, I mean, I used to go and get onto eBay. This was it, folks. You go back and look at these videos from like 3 years ago. I would go on eBay every month just about and buy an untested PVM delivered for like, I mean, it was like less than $150 usually delivered. And that would be the video would be, did it arrive smashed up? Did it work? What it was, and I mean, I can't even, it's been a long time since I've really even been able to find anything like that on there anymore. Because everything's now hundreds.
The CRT Market Watch is my favorite type of video that Steve used to do. I love it. But you're right. If they're just not available, then the CRT Market Watch isn't such a relevant kind of thing anymore.
Yeah. It was like, I haven't even thought about doing a Market Watch video in forever. Yeah, the eBay videos, I mean, those are awesome. So
and I was...
Go ahead. Sorry. No, go ahead.
No, just we were commenting in the last stream that we did that I was broadly looking at the work you do, and I'm like, Steve, you're working on a lot more consumer sets lately. It used to be only PVMs, only BVMs, and I do gradually see the trend over time that now people are like, oh, this consumer set, it's now worth the cost and the time to send it into Steve. It used to be only professional sets were worth that, and I can only imagine that trend is going to keep happening.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. And as it stands, I'm still the only person crazy enough to do this full time. Oh, Mark, what's up, buddy? So yeah, the PO, yeah, man. Well, you should come on sometime, talk CRTs with us. You know, Lewis and I's problem is ever getting things scheduled on the same schedule now.
Yeah, that's the time. So the nice part is the time zone. When it's the evening for me and I'm drinking the beers, it's midday for Steve, so that kind of works. But it's really just sort of like, how you doing today? Is today okay? And trying to find that time.
Yeah,
we're on multiple time zones.
Yeah, there's a bunch of great people that do work on CRTs part-time, and that's what they have to. I mean, it's just like anything. It's like YouTube. It's like any other hobby / business / project. I mean, that's like what? It's like 75% of our friends on Twitter who make things work on the retro scene. This is not their primary job.
Ethan, in what area are you? Ethan says he's found a whole bunch of top-end consumer sets. Look,
nice.
And stuff's still out there. I guess that's not the... I don't want to take the wrong message away for everyone. Sets, consumer sets, PVMs, BVMs, they're definitely out there, but it's super regional. Coming back to that idea that it's not one global, certainly not global, and not even one US market, because it's so hard to ship these things. You could, Seattle, so up there in the north, right? You could have these pockets of availability because it's not like a set can so easily be shipped around the state, the country, something like that. Going back to 196 Cupcake, dude, you definitely need to go watch a YouTube channel called Reserved Investments. He talks a lot about collectible finance, collecting Pokemon, collecting Magic the Gathering, not antiques, like collectibles. And watch a few of those videos and you will be convinced a CRT is not an investment vessel. It is not a way to make money.
I don't even think like I'm going to tell you all, I love collectible stuff, but you never get, it's one of the most detrimental things for you to get sucked into thinking this is your investment for any future, like this needs to be your play around money is what we call it. Play around money. It's not your investment money. No. Like, it took me a long time to think about that and finally just start doing traditional, boring investments for investment. Like, because you can't just keep saving cash. It's going to go down in value over time. You have to put money in some stable assets that you can actually buy easy and sell super easy. And all those great things that we love about collectibles are awesome, but at the end of the day, selling, it is easy to buy something. A lot of times, it is not nearly the same easy to sell it. And then you got fees, and all these people are very... I try to tell my son, I mean, he's right at this age, this ripe age of a teenager. And, that's the age that we all started getting into this. We're like, oh, man, I just really want, whatever it was when you were 13. Sure. I don't know. Like for me, it might have been like
basketball cards.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like when I was a kid, it would have been like, oh my gosh, I wish I had a Shaquille O'Neal rookie card. I wish I had, like the Ken Griffey rookie card. I would have been like, oh, that's all. I remember having like dreams that I had like this stupid card in my, and then you wake up and you're like, oh, it's just a damn dream. It's like so pointless. And so I'm trying to like get him to think. I'm like, no, don't. Like, I want you to enjoy this stuff. He's really into sneakers. I'm like, no, those sneakers are not actually going to be worth what you're thinking they're going to be worth.
Enjoy them because they're sneakers.
Exactly.
Right? Enjoy them because you like them. Don't stay away from them. But yeah, right. As we're saying in the chat here, just an S&P 500. I've got index funds. I just put your money. Just leave it there. That money, it's making money all the time. The CRT, you got to buy this big fucking thing. You got to ship it. You got to store it. Then you got to find some other fool later on who's going to buy it from you. Then you got to ship it to them. It's not a good way. It's an alternate asset class. It's not, I don't know if there's ever really a justification for saying, I'm going to buy this CRT because it's going to make me money in the future. It's all about the flipping. And I don't want to promote flipping. Don't get me wrong. That's not where I'm at. But it's all about the collectibles are all about the short-term gains, not the long-term gains.
Really, the people who make, and that's what you're talking about with reserved investments, the people who actually are making money are not emotionally attached to the collectible. They understand the market, that when things get hot, you sell into the hype. You never buy into the hype on things, and that's all very much things, but that's not what happens to you as a collector in your head. As a collector in your head, you're looking at something, you're like, holy crap, it's gone up 1,000% this year. It can never go down. It can only go up from here. It's going to go up 1,000 times more, and then you get punched in the nuts because literally one day you go in there and the thing disappears into obscurity and becomes, I mean, those are the kind of things that can literally become worthless. The Beanie Babies.
That's it. Sure.
Everybody remembers the Beanie Babies. Forklift for CRTs. Man, you need to get, for shelving, you guys got to get the super high end. If you want the big shelves, you got to get those like iron welded shelves that those can hold like 7,000 pounds.
You've got those Costco shelves, right? They're $200 a pop. Yeah.
Yeah. You can get the high end, just go ahead and get the highest end shelf you can get out of Costco. And it's perfect for holding everything. I have CRTs stacked to my ceiling in my finished garage. You can't fit a car in there. There's literally 75 CRTs in there. Oh goodness.
Yeah, getting them up. I have my difficulty is that I live on the 5th floor and there's no elevator, none, nothing. So I've got the 20-inch BVM up here because I carry it like a goddamn motherfucker up the whole thing. But it's very hard to get anything up here. So I would love some, and I've investigated all the things. I mean, there are certainly high-end moving devices that help you get things upstairs, and they're like super expensive, and I've never kind of been able to think like afford. And I've tried a few things where you have the rack. What do you have, like the trolley that has the 3 wheels? And I did use that a bit, but even that,
can
like,
get
you have to
awkward.
get a good one because it's like boom, boom, boom. And even that's quite a jolt to your CRT. And I know there are more advanced ones that maybe are a little smooth. So I was investigating that some years ago, but you even need a really high-end trolley for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that's the thing. It stinks. It's like I've got some on the top shelf, and it's basically where I do like a press like this up on like a 27-inch. And I'm like, how the hell am I gonna get that down again? You know, I'm like, then I'm like, how? I'm gonna be like that clip of that guy trying to pick up that CRT and it folds him like an accordion.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be like a cop show or something, and the local policeman's gonna come in and just like shake his head. There was
just a guy
Steve was
flat
trapped
on the
under there
ground.
for 5 days, and eventually he's trapped underneath the CRT.
All right, guys. I think an hour and 45 minutes is good Friday stream. I think we hung out a little longer for the late crowd, which is fun.
It was nice.
I've got an error message that's popped up like 45 minutes ago. I've not pressed yes or no on it yet because I was like, we're just going to roll through this and see what happens. So we made it.
We did. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you guys being in the chat here. We've tried to answer the questions. Sorry if we didn't get to everything you say. I'm very easily distracted, so I'm trying to watch Steve and watch the chat. But thanks very much. If you can, hit the like button. That really very much helps the channel out as well. Steve, what are you going to do this afternoon? What's on the agenda?
Well, actually, since, let's see, Zen Arcade's here. Your shipper for your PVM that you had serviced is supposed to be here tomorrow, so that should be great. And tonight I'm just going to actually I'm going to go walk Cole. I'm going to finish this stinking video that's an hour and a half long, okay? All I have to do is finish editing the end of it, so this could be out tomorrow, I'm hoping. Worst case, it'll be early next week. We'll see. So that's it. That's where I'm going to edit it. I'm going to go try to be a good husband, find a good wife, gift, not a CRT this year. So, and again, thank you, Lewis, for taking your time today. And everybody, we're going to do this. Remember this, will be a couple weeks from now, we'll do a stream where we're going to do some Game Boy. I'll put the Game Boy up on the thumbnail, and you just watch for the Game Boy stream and bring your Game Boys.
We'll do
we'll
the
have
Game
some
Boy
fun.
modding stream in November, definitely. All right, thanks everyone for watching. Steve,